Back in the 1960s, a chronic disease hospital in the Bronx, some 70 or 80 people who had been unimaginably ill and often abandoned by their families for decades, sometimes 40 years, 45 years even. Many of them motionless and frozen in strange postures, all of whom had had the encephalitis lethargica years before, a worldwide epidemic at the time. No medicine was of any use to them. I lived almost next door to the hospital. I was in at all hours, and in the summer, amazing things seemed to be happening. They did respond to L-Dopa, and there was a jubilant, joyous atmosphere in the ward, proposals of marriage, and people were just lyrical with delight at being able to move and talk and think again. But then, later that year, all sorts of dark clouds gathered and complications of every sort. What had I done? I had taken them out of maybe a sort of passionless but tranquil non-being and thrown them into torment and turmoil. They'd lost so many years of their life, and one of the patients said to me that stuff should be given its proper name, L-Dopa. I wanted to write about them, and in great detail, but I didn't know whether this would be proper or not. It was the patients themselves who said, "Tell our story, or it'll never be known. Give us a place, as it were, in the history of the world." I chronicle other people's lives. I want to tell the story of people who might seem alien and unfamiliar and impossible to feel for. I visited a Mennonite village in northern Canada, where a fifth of the people have Tourette's syndrome. I went with a friend who himself has Tourette's and had much experience of being stigmatized and marginalized. When we got there, he was on his best behavior, and at one point he sort of suddenly made a loud noise and people jumped. But then they smiled and many of them barked back. And then he realized that he was at home. He was with his brothers and sisters with Tourette's. I'm rather shy in many ways. It's a sort of malady. I was 10 years old. There were times when I could hardly function, and I think I became very frightened. My brother was moving into a magical world. He started talking to himself. He felt that people were reading his mind and listening to him. There were strange signs and portents of every sort. I know that sometimes when I talked with him, if I spoke to him about early years under these miles of schizophrenia, he was there. But he suffered terribly sometimes with terror from what De Quincey called the pressure on the heart of the incommunicable. I don't know whether you've heard of Geul. It's a village in Belgium which since the 13th century has housed and been a home to deeply disturbed people. Mad people came from all over Europe to be cured. They weren't cured, but the townspeople took them in. And for more than 700 years, these selfless, generous, intensely human families in Geul have been taking in deeply schizophrenic people to live a life of relationship and work, of love and work, unimaginable elsewhere. I would like to see more places like Geul. There's an old Jewish prayer in which you praise God for the diversity of creation, and exactly that was the feeling in Chayil, that the person is always there. I was deeply moved. My brother, what he went through. Such a chaotic, capricious world. But the heart, the person, is always there.